There's a moment when you're sitting in traffic and someone honks behind you a fraction of a second after the light turns green, and suddenly your whole body floods with heat. Your hands grip the steering wheel tighter, your jaw locks, your heart pounds so hard you can feel it in your throat. It's not just annoyance, it's rage mixed with panic, like you're under attack. Later, when you're home and the moment has passed, you think, why did I react like that? It was just a honk. But in that instant, your body wasn't responding to a car horn. It was responding to years of being startled, criticized, controlled, or never feeling safe. Or maybe the moment is quieter. You're at dinner with friends, smiling, nodding, contributing to the conversation. On the outside, you look fine. On the inside, you feel like you're watching yourself from across the room. Your body is there, but you're not fully in it. You hear yourself laugh at a joke, but it sounds distant, like an echo. You leave early, saying you're tired. In the car, you feel nothing and everything at once. A strange, heavy emptiness that you can't explain to anyone because you're not even sure what it is. These moments aren't random. They're symptoms of something deeper that many people carry but don't have a name for: complex PTSD. Over time, these reactions don't stay isolated. They become a pattern woven through your life. In romantic relationships, complex PTSD might look like intense emotional swings. One day you feel deeply connected to your partner. The next day, something small, a tone of voice, a forgotten text, a canceled plan, triggers a wave of fear or anger that feels way too big for the situation. You might pull away suddenly, shut down mid-conversation, or lash out and then feel intense shame afterward. Your partner says, "I don't understand what just happened." And you don't either. You just know that closeness sometimes feels like danger, even when you desperately want it. At work, it might show up as hypervigilance. You're always scanning the room, reading people's faces, trying to predict what they need or what might go wrong. A vague email from your boss sends you into a spiral of anxiety.
Constructive feedback feels like a personal attack. You might overwork to stay in control or freeze and procrastinate because the pressure feels too overwhelming. Colleagues might see you as intense, sensitive, or hard to read, but you're just trying to survive an environment that feels unpredictable. In family settings, complex PTSD can resurface as old roles clicking back into place. Maybe you become the caretaker again, managing everyone's emotions, smoothing over conflict, making yourself small so others feel big. Or maybe you feel instant irritation the moment you walk through the door, even if nothing bad is happening right now. Your body remembers what it learned in that house, even if your mind has moved on. Alone, the inner dialogue is often the hardest part. You might replay interactions over and over, analyzing every word you said, convinced you did something wrong. You might feel numb for days, unable to cry or feel much of anything. Or you might feel everything at once: grief, rage, terror, in waves that knock you off balance. You look around at other people who seem to move through life more easily and think, what's wrong with me? Why is everything so hard? To understand complex PTSD, you have to look at where it comes from, and it's different from regular PTSD in an important way. Traditional PTSD often comes from a single traumatic event: a car accident, an assault, a natural disaster. Complex PTSD, or CPTSD, comes from repeated, prolonged trauma, usually in situations where you couldn't escape. It's the kind of trauma that happens over time: chronic childhood abuse or neglect, growing up with an unstable or violent caregiver, living in a home where emotional safety didn't exist, being in a long-term controlling or abusive relationship, or enduring ongoing bullying or systemic harm. A girl grows up in a house where her parents' mood determines the emotional weather of the day. Some mornings are calm, some are storms with no warning. She learns to read micro-expressions, to adjust her behavior constantly, to make herself invisible when things feel dangerous. She never knows which version of her parent she's going to get, so she's always
Preparing, always braced. She becomes an expert at surviving, but she never learns what it feels like to simply exist without threat. As an adult, this same girl might struggle with relationships because her nervous system is still waiting for the storm. Calm feels suspicious. Kindness feels like a setup. She might test people to see if they'll leave or push them away before they can hurt her. She's not broken,
She's operating on old wiring that once kept her safe. A boy grows up being told he's the problem. When his parents fight, it's his fault. When money is tight, he's a burden. When he shows emotion, he's weak or dramatic. He learns that his feelings are dangerous and unwelcome, so he stuffs them down. He learns that asking for help equals punishment, so he becomes entirely self-reliant. He survives by becoming small, competent, and silent. As an adult, this boy might have no idea how to name what he feels. Therapy or emotional conversations might feel impossible because his system learned to shut feelings down the moment they appear. He might be called cold or avoidant, but really he's protecting himself the only way he knows how. This is where the concept of attachment comes in, along with something called emotional dysregulation. Attachment is about how your nervous system learned to relate to safety and connection. If your early environment was inconsistent, chaotic, or harmful, your system likely developed an insecure attachment style, anxious, avoidant, or a mix of both. That's not a flaw, it's an adaptation. Emotional dysregulation is what happens when your nervous system gets overwhelmed and can't return to calm on its own. Small stressors feel huge. Your emotions spike fast, rage, terror, shame, and crash hard into numbness or exhaustion. You're not overreacting. You're reacting with a nervous system that's been in survival mode for so long it doesn't know how to do anything else. So how does complex PTSD show up in daily life now? At work, you might experience sudden shutdowns. In the middle of a meeting, someone raises their voice or interrupts you and you go blank. You can't think. You can't speak. Later, you remember everything you
wanted to say, but in the moment you were frozen. Or the opposite happens, you snap, say something harsh, and then spiral into shame for hours. You might also struggle with imposter syndrome that goes deeper than normal self-doubt. It feels like, if people really knew me, they'd see I don't belong here. You work twice as hard as everyone else to prove you're not the problem, the burden, the mistake. In romantic relationships, complex PTSD might show up as emotional flashbacks. These aren't visual memories, they're body memories. Your partner does something neutral, like needing space, and suddenly you're flooded with the terror of abandonment. You're not thinking, my partner wants an evening alone. You're feeling, I'm about to be left. I'm not safe. I'm alone. The past and present blur, and your reaction matches the intensity of the old wound, not the current situation. You might also cycle between clinging and distancing. You need closeness to feel okay, but closeness also feels terrifying, so you push people away and then panic when they actually leave. It's exhausting for you and confusing for them. In family dynamics, you might regress instantly. You become the version of yourself that lived in that house, quieter, more careful, less yourself. You might feel anger you don't understand, or guilt for setting boundaries with people who did their best. The younger part of you that survived by appeasing, by taking care of others, by not asking for too much, that part is still active. With friends, complex PTSD can make you feel like an outsider even when you're included. You might overshare and then withdraw, fearing you said too much. Or you stay surface level, never letting anyone close, because closeness has historically meant danger. You might struggle with trust in ways that feel irrational. You want to believe people, but your body keeps whispering, they'll hurt you eventually. Inside your own mind, the struggle is constant. You might have intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, or nightmares. You might dissociate, lose time, feel disconnected from your body, or go through entire days on autopilot. You might struggle with memory. Chunks of your childhood
feel blurry or missing, and that absence itself is unsettling. At some point, many people with complex PTSD ask, why can't I just get over this? Why does this still affect me so much? Why do I keep repeating the same patterns? That's the moment where self-blame turns into a heavy weight. But the truth is, you're not stuck because you're weak. You're stuck because your nervous system is still running old programs designed to keep you alive in a world that no longer exists. Here's a perspective shift. Complex PTSD symptoms are not evidence that you're broken. They're evidence that you survived. The hypervigilance that exhausts you, that's your system trying to protect you the way it once had to. The emotional flashbacks that feel too much, they're unprocessed pain finally asking to be seen. The numbness, that's your nervous system saying, this is too much, I need a break. Even the anger, the rage that scares you, is often a signal that boundaries were violated for so long, your body is finally saying,
no more. The goal isn't to eliminate these responses. It's to understand them, work with them, and slowly teach your nervous system that the threat is no longer present. Integration, not elimination, that's the key. You don't erase complex PTSD, you learn to recognize it, soften its grip, and create new experiences of safety that your nervous system can start to trust. Now, let's talk about some practical steps you can take. Practice 1. Name your window of tolerance. Why it helps? People with complex PTSD often live outside their window of tolerance, the zone where you can handle stress without going into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Learning to notice when you're leaving that window helps you intervene earlier. How to do it? Throughout the day, check in with yourself. Ask, am I in my window right now, or am I getting triggered? If you're in your window, you feel relatively grounded, able to think, feel, and respond. If you're outside it, you might feel panicked, numb, rageful, or like you're moving through fog. Mini scene. You're in a conversation and suddenly your chest gets tight. Your mind goes blank. You think, I'm leaving my window. Instead of
Pushing through, you say, I need a minute, and step outside. You breathe, feel your feet on the ground, and let your system reset. What's hard? It feels weak or dramatic to pause, but pushing through when you're dysregulated just reinforces the cycle. Practice 2. Track your emotional flashbacks. Why it helps? Emotional flashbacks are one of the core symptoms of complex PTSD. Recognizing them lets you separate past from present. How to do it? When you have a strong emotional reaction that feels bigger than the situation, write it down later. Ask yourself, what just happened? What did I feel? When have I felt this way before? Look for the earliest memory of that same feeling. Mini scene. Your partner forgets to text you back for a few hours. You spiral into panic and anger. Later, you journal, I felt abandoned. This reminds me of waiting for a parent who often didn't show up. Suddenly, the reaction makes sense. It's not about the text. It's about an old wound. What's hard? It can feel like you're living in the past or making excuses. You're not. You're connecting dots so you can respond differently next time. Practice 3. One grounding practice daily. Why it helps? Complex PTSD keeps your nervous system in survival mode. Grounding practices signal to your body that you're safe right now. How to do it? Choose something simple you can do every day. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory grounding. Name 5 things you see, 4 you hear, 3 you feel, 2 you smell, 1 you taste. Deep breathing, walking barefoot, holding ice, or placing your hand on your chest and saying, I'm here, I'm safe. Mini scene. You wake up from a nightmare, heart racing. Instead of scrolling your phone to distract, you sit up, press your feet into the floor, and say out loud, I'm in my room, it's 2025, I'm an adult, I'm safe. Your system slowly starts to believe it. What's hard? It feels too simple or woo-woo, but repetition is what rewires your nervous system. Practice 4. Write to the part of you that survived. Why it helps? Complex PTSD comes from survival strategies that once worked. Honoring those parts, instead of shaming them, creates space for healing. How to do it? Imagine the younger you who lived
through the trauma. Write them a letter. Thank them for surviving. Tell them what you wish someone had told them then. Mini scene. You write, thank you for learning how to disappear when it was dangerous. You kept us safe. But we don't need to disappear anymore. I've got us now. As you read it, you feel grief and relief at once. What's hard? It can bring up intense emotion. Go slow. You don't have to do this perfectly. Practice 5. Set a tiny boundary with no explanation. Why it helps? People with complex PTSD often learned that boundaries were dangerous. Practicing small ones teaches your system that you are allowed to protect yourself. How to do it? Choose something minor. Saying no to a phone call, leaving a gathering early, not answering a text immediately. State the boundary without over-explaining. I'm not available tonight. I need to go. I can't do that. Mini scene. A friend asks for a favor when you're exhausted. Old you would say yes and resent it. New you says, I can't help with that this time. They say, no worries, and nothing explodes. Your nervous system takes note. Boundaries are survivable. What's hard? Guilt floods in. You feel selfish. Remind yourself, you're not responsible for everyone's comfort. Practice 6. Find one trauma-informed person or space. Why it helps? Complex PTSD thrives in isolation. Safe connection with a therapist, support group, or trusted friend creates co-regulation, which your nervous system needs.
How to do it. Look for someone who understands trauma, doesn't rush you to get over it, and can sit with hard feelings without trying to fix them immediately. Even online communities can help. Mini scene. In therapy, you say, "I feel like I'm always too much or not enough." Your therapist says, "That makes sense given what you lived through. You're not too much. You're healing." For the first time in weeks, your chest loosens. What's hard? Trust is terrifying when you have CPTSD. Start small. You don't have to share everything at once. Practice 7. Notice what safety feels like in your body. Why it helps. Many people with complex PTSD don't know what safe feels like because they've rarely experienced it.
To recognize even micro moments of safety helps your system build new templates. How to do it? Once a day, pause and ask, do I feel even 10% safe right now? If yes, notice what that feels like. Softer shoulders, slower breath, quieter mind. Let yourself stay there for 30 seconds. Mini scene. You're sitting in your favorite chair with tea, no one needing anything from you. You notice your jaw unclenching. You think, this is what safety feels like. You breathe into it instead of rushing to the next task. What's hard? Safety can feel boring, suspicious, or even scary. That's normal. Your system will learn. Over time, with this kind of work, things begin to shift. Not in a straight line, but in small, real ways. You start recognizing flashbacks faster. You catch yourself mid-spiral and think, this is an old feeling, not a now feeling. That gap between trigger and response gets a little wider. You have more room to choose. Your relationships start to change. You might set boundaries you never could before. Some people won't like it. Some relationships will fade, but the ones that stay become deeper because you're showing up more honestly. You start choosing people who can handle your real self, not just your survival self. At work, you might still feel anxious, but it's not as all-consuming. You take breaks. You ask for what you need. You stop trying to be perfect to prove you're not the problem. Inside, the self-talk softens. You're not fully healed. Healing isn't linear, and complex PTSD doesn't disappear, but you stop seeing yourself as fundamentally damaged. You start seeing yourself as someone doing incredibly hard work to rewrite patterns that were never your fault. And maybe one day, you're in traffic again. Someone honks. Your body tenses. But this time, you notice it. You breathe. You name it. Old alarm, not a real threat. You keep driving. It's small, but it's everything. Come back to that first moment. The car horn, the flooded body, the shame that followed. Now imagine facing it with what you know. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to never get triggered. You just have to notice a little sooner, respond a little more gently, and remind.
That was then. This is now. Complex PTSD is not a life sentence. It's a set of adaptations your body made to survive impossible situations. Those adaptations saved you, but they don't have to run your life forever. The work is slow. It's not glamorous. It's often 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But it's worth it. Not because you'll become someone without scars, but because you'll become someone who can live with them, learn from them, and still build a life that feels like yours. Thank you for staying to the end. If this helped you see yourself more clearly, you can subscribe for more videos on trauma, psychology, and healing. And if you feel comfortable, share in the comments. Which symptom of complex PTSD do you recognize most in your own life? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to feel less alone.